Hey, what's up guys? This is Muzz coming from Reborn Mind, Body, Soul. And if you're watching this, you believe in new beginnings and becoming your own ultimate superhero. Now in this video, I'm super excited about this topic. It's something that I've came up with a concept and been playing with and had ideas about for the last year-ish, and coming away from Vegas and then coming back to Vegas, I see it to become a bit more true. So if you haven't hit the subscribe button, hit the subscribe button right now, and let's get into it. Alright, so how is a place, Sin City, the closest place to actually enlightenment in a reverse way? Now, I've been, I guess you could say, to one of the places in the planet where, I guess this ideology of this birth of enlightenment has come from, which is in India. Now, I only went to a little small section of India, and I went to an island underneath, which is Sri Lanka, to actually connect to the information of this so-called enlightenment. And oddly enough, I went from Sin City, which is Vegas, to India, which is complete contrast. But then there's some similarities that have happened with both places. So why is Vegas close to enlightenment? Okay, so I'm gonna take you through a little bit of a thought journey right now. Okay, so let's put in an archetype of a person that comes here. So essentially, everyone that comes to this place, that are tourists essentially on the strip, come here in a certain mindset right when they get on the plane or right when they book their trip, is that you're coming to get away from it all, right? You ever hear that? I just need to get away. I just need a break from it all. I just need to get away. And isn't that interesting? It's like, what are you trying to get away from? Well, you're actually trying to get away from self. You want to get into self deeper, in what I've experienced on my journey. But a lot of people go, I just want to get away. But what they're trying to get away from is they just want a mental break, essentially, which is fair enough. The route that they're choosing to go to that enlightenment state is, in my opinion, not the healthiest route, but it's still the similar route, which is, I think, why I can align with people that are here as well. So they buy their ticket and they fly to Vegas. While they're on the plane in Vegas, they're coming here to not give a fuck. And so what you find is the turnover rate every weekend is on average around 200,000 people. So what you'll find is everyone here is actually in a pretty good mood. They're in a pretty yeah, let's party, let's fucking go, let's not give a fuck, And you come into that energy. So while they're on the plane, they're already entering. It's almost like there's this vortex you enter when you come into Vegas, and it's like you fly through it, and it's just like, boom, you instantly, to what degree that is different for every human here in Vegas, but to some degree, you come here not to give a fuck. And so you wouldn't know unless you've, been observing it and sober in Vegas, is actually, this place is a very enlightened place, but in the avenue how they get to the sense of that enlightenment is through intoxication, substance abuse, pleasure abuse, tapping into their sexuality, and then on gambling and just overstimulation, where then they come here and you're actually entering into this pretty euphoric state. Just the route is a little bit interesting how to get there. So with that being said, in Vegas, if you're observing this, it's actually a pretty beautiful place to be in. Something you might not notice if you're come here intoxicated, right? And then you come here, right? And here's where the challenge comes is like, people fly here, they don't give a fuck. So at the very first day, when the first hour or whatever they get here, they're like, the first couple hours, yeah, let's parties go. And then they stay here for on average 2 to 3 days. And by the third day, they're like, get me the fuck out of here. Okay, I'm ready to go back to that. Even though that shit, this is intense. And although it was fun, I didn't give a fuck. I can never be there. And that's why I love that. A lot of people go, I love the reaction to me. They're like, you live here? Like awestruck, and because what they do in their mind is they think of all their time that they've spent here. Well, what have they been spent doing? Being intoxicated, eating unhealthy food, logging off, essentially clubbing, and then what does that all accumulate to? So all those non-give a fucks in the unhealthy way accumulate to basically a nasty state of feeling, which is like, get me the fuck out of Vegas. But if you can stay sober. I mean, I don't obviously endorse this to anyone, or try to, maybe not the word endorse, but try to project this onto anyone. But if you could, I mean, this place is actually pretty lovely behind the scenes if you can keep yourself out of it. So the human comes here not to give a fuck, comes here, gets in that state of not give a fuck, but in the unhealthy way, reaches a certain state of freedom in the mind through intoxication. But then when you have to spike yourself through intoxication or through some sort of substance, like you need, like, let's say for example, you need Red Bull to get more energy, or you need to do cocaine to talk more, or you need to get wasted to go talk to someone. These are all spiked through something which is not your natural state, which then accumulates to the aftermath. And so that aftermath of not giving a fuck for that many days in a row accumulates this nasty hangover, and then they gotta leave. So it's interesting to be here and watch all that go down. It's something that if you didn't live here, you wouldn't actually know that this place is actually pretty close to enlightenment in some regards. Let's not get caught up in the word enlightenment, but yeah, it's pretty interesting. And one of the things you wouldn't know about Vegas unless you live here as well is, like, a lot of people that come here, they just experience the Strip. Oddly enough, a lot of people, this is a pretty now desired spot to move to because of housing. Housing's pretty cheap here. It's pretty affordable, and they actually have libraries, and they have a real life. And actually, I've spent now this time around more time off the Strip than on the Strip, and it's really enjoyable off the Strip. I mean, you are in a desert climate, but so there's not as much trees and nature to that degree, but you can go outside of the Strip and you can find great hiking trails here and a lot of fun stuff to do as well. And a lot of people just kind of think the Strip is all of Vegas, but there's so much more to offer here. And so it's something I love to observe. And so for myself, because I love having fun and I love being around people, I love smiling, I love laughing, I love joking, that it's fun for me to be here around that intoxication and not judge it. Here's the thing, that was what's hard for me at the beginning of my journey when I'm on my sobriety, is like to not judge people for being intoxicated and not judge people for doing substances. But what I was really judging was me in them. And so now that I've healed through that, I can now look at them and appreciate their state of, some sort of feel-good enlightenment state. They are feeling good. So, when I engage with them on the Strip, it's fun. It's fun for me. I don't take it too seriously, and I can almost look as sometimes like a guardian angel. That's what I feel like on the Strip sometimes. Like, I help people out. I guide people when someone's intoxicated or this or that gone too far. It's like I can kind of, okay, wait, let me help you out here for a second. Like, where are you trying to go? What are you trying to do here? Like, let me help you with that. So that is why I think Vegas is pretty close to enlightenment, something you might not know unless you lived here. So I share my peace and I share my love.